All right, y'all ready? Got Marshall here at 7:30, Williams-Brice Stadium on Saturday night. Looking forward to getting back on the field. They got a good football team. Offense schematically very similar to us, especially in the run game. Got a lot of respect for Coach Holliday and the job he has done at Marshall. Defensively, they are really fast. They run extremely well. They got 9 starters back from a year ago. They play extremely well in space. They've got a nice pressure package. We've got to be dialed in and focused on the different looks that they give you. Mostly a 4-down team, but they give you some different looks. And then, special teams, a lot of good team speed. So we're going to have to play well in space and certainly step our game up. And I'll open up for any questions.
We'll get a microphone to you, David.
Will, obviously, a lot of talk about the storm coming in. Have you and Coach Tanner been in dialogue about what could happen, or is that kind of off the radar?
We're ready to go Saturday night at 7:32 kick. We're in great hands in this state with Governor McMaster and President Pastides here at the university and Coach Tanner. And I'm preparing for a football game, and obviously my thoughts and prayers with the people on our coast and the North Carolina coast and whoever this storm may affect. But as far as I'm concerned, that's where we're headed.
Coach, just how much of the talk in the last couple of days has been, it was a loss, but it was only the second week of the season. We still have 10 games to play.
Well, we've moved on. Every week is a season. Our focus is on Marshall.
I guess health-wise, what's the latest with everyone, I guess, outside of DJ?
We should be fine. Everybody's good. We, Javon Gwynn, I announced that Sunday night, and then DJ, Chavis Dawkins is back. Chavis Dawkins practiced today, looked good, moved well. Practiced Sunday night, moved well. I believe that's it, right, Steve?
I think so.
Mon's still, I wouldn't say Mon's 100%, but he's probably in that 85% and could help us. Still battling back from the hamstring, and Josh, I believe that's it.
Coach, just going back to the storm for a second, we were just talking to Brian a few minutes ago. I know he's from the Conway area. He said his family's coming back up here. I'm just wondering what the football program is doing, or if anything, the university, anything in terms of support or outreach for your players that have family down on the coast.
Absolutely. All of our players' families on the coast, we're trying to make sure they have a place here in Columbia, and the School Opportunity Fund can handle that. And that's no different than, I believe it was last year, the hurricane hit South Florida. We offered all of our players' families opportunities within the entire athletic department for their families to evacuate and come to Columbia. So we're in the process of doing that right now.
Way over the right count.
I know it's probably a small sample size, but just what are your impressions of the new up-tempo offense through 2 games, and what do you like to see it improve on going forward?
Well, again, I think that, I would agree with what you started out saying. It's a very small sample size, and we were very efficient in our first ball game. We should have been, and then we needed to play better last week, and we'll continue to press forward with what we're doing. I do like the fact that we're able to play at a faster tempo. We utilize that, and that's been effective. But we need to continue to improve in some areas, and sometimes it's a little bit of a, we needed to run the ball more last week. But when you call RPOs and you're reading a linebacker and he flows and you end up throwing the ball, you had a called run. And sometimes you get a little out of whack numbers-wise as you're calling the game. And that's something we need to do a better job of paying attention to.
This is sort of a kind of a follow-up on that, but how much of that kind of imbalance is the RPOs and just game flow, or how much of it is just kind of a play caller kind of feeling it out almost?
Well, Ben, you're calling a run, and then you're, based on a look, you're throwing the football. And we had some effective gains the other night throwing the football. But you need to be able to call it and haul it at times and just run the football and know you want to hand the ball off regardless of what the look gives you.
Back, Mike on the left, and then Mike on the right.
Will, after the game, TJ Brunson talked about that this week's probably going to have a lot of tackling drills. What have you guys been doing so far, and has it kind of been going back to square one, or at least with defensively trying to just be able to tackle?
Well, we did miss some tackles, but normally that happens against good people. At the end of the day, we didn't communicate very well, which puts you in position to not make the tackle. So to me, it was more of a communication issue, an urgency to a line issue, as much as anything else. And we didn't practice any different than we normally do. We did a lot more good on good work because there's a lot of carryover between what Marshall does and what we do. So we decided we needed to do more good on good work. If they had been a huge discrepancy with what we did schematically, we probably wouldn't have done that. But looking at their tape and on offense and defense, I felt like it'd be better for us to work a lot more against each other, and that's what we did today. But we need to communicate better. We need to get the call. We need to relay the call throughout the entire defense. This is the first time we work with crowd noise all the time, but it's different on game day. And the first time we've been in a situation, and our crowd was awesome. They gave us a great boost, but we've got to communicate better.
Well, going back to the run game for a second, is there anything you guys change, other than just trying to run the ball a little bit more this week in terms of even maybe scheme-wise or to have a little bit more success there?
No, I think we've got a good repertoire of what we're doing running game-wise. I like where we are. We just need to be more effective.
As you go back to your career as a coordinator, do you remember games early on that were particular learning experiences for you that you just have to experience it and then to build on it?
I think you learn whether you have success or you don't have success. And you go back and whether you won the game big or you had a tough loss, you always self-evaluate very hard on what you would have done differently. And I think that's true with every game. It gets exposed in a loss, because obviously there's questions. So there's nobody that's more hard on himself than Brian. I can tell you that. And we've had very productive conversations and moving forward. And, at the end of the day, we had 200 yards at halftime against a really good defense. So we just need to be more effective. But it's a team game. Defensively, we had 3 possessions in the second half of 21 points. Right. We gave up huge chunk plays in the passing game. One time we don't even cover down on the slot. That wasn't the offense's fault. And then you're battling the 8 ball against a really good defense trying to get play catch up, and you're down 24, then you're down 31, and you're throwing the football. We're trying to score. So obviously we did get away from the run game then for obvious reasons. So, again, it's a team game, and we've got to play better as a team than we did in the second half.
And what were Brian's thoughts to you in the conversations you've had about the way it went and what he took from it?
First thing he walked in and said, I need to be more hard-headed in the run game. We need to stay with the run more in the second quarter. Because then he started down the third quarter. And I said, whoa. The defense has got to make a stop. I said, you can't start shouldering blame on everything. You can't do that as a coordinator. It's a team game, and we got to play better on the defensive side of the ball. Now, we need to convert 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 1 in the first 2 drives of the second half. So those productive conversations, we got to get better. That's on me.
Those conversations happen with you and your assistants or coordinators after every game? Is that
Yeah.
part of your week?
Every Sunday morning. And then throughout the week, what do we need to do philosophically to win the game?
Have you guys done anything to sort of help Marshall, I guess, get here, since they're obviously going to have to come through the storm, and have they reached out and asked at all?
Coach Tanner and their athletic director have talked, and they've got a plane flight planned for Friday afternoon. If there is bad weather, they've got buses ready and available.
Back, Mike.
Will, I know in the past you guys have tried to simulate game day in the sense of being able to maybe practice at 12. The game's going to be around 12. Is there any plans this week to be able to practice maybe at nighttime to be able to get that feel of what it's going to be like to play under the lights?
No, we had some practice under the lights during training camp, and I feel comfortable with that experience. I feel like that, our game week routine is what it is, and regardless of whether or not we're in school, we're going to keep it as much the same as possible.
Is there something that you can simulate the week up leading to games, especially because of the fact that you've had a couple of big games at home where you haven't come on the winning side, like Kentucky last year, Georgia this year? Is there something different in your preparation to where you're able to keep your composure going into a game of that nature?
I mean, that's something obviously you can look at. I'm constantly self-evaluating travel and practice preparation and different things that we've got to do, leading up to any game. Certainly didn't play as well as we would have liked in either one of the games you mentioned. Need to play better, need to coach better. I don't know that that's something functionally that we're doing within the organization that's holding us back. We got to play better and coach better on Saturday afternoon.
Will, also on Sunday, you mentioned the drops in the first half. Is there any kind of special drill or just emphasis in practice on the receivers after a game like that?
Well, it wasn't all on receivers. We had 3 drops at the running back position. So, I mean, so when you say receivers, that's a little unfair. Again, that's something we always talk in terms of, we drill every day, going through traffic and catching balls and catches under duress and dragging a guy on top. So, I mean, that's something that's constantly worked on. We obviously need to do a lot more work on it.
Being able to set the edge defensively, how comfortable are you with how you've done for 2 games so far?
Well, against Georgia, the 26-yard run on their sideline in the third quarter, we had a bust. We had a miscommunication. I mean, some of the issues were functionally within aligning right, and that's the most frustrating part. The first thing you got to do as a coach is look in the mirror and say, are we doing too much? So we had a lot of mental errors. So that's number one. So we've scaled back, and we carried what we normally carry in about every game. But obviously with this bunch, you can't do that because every team is different. So with this bunch, we've really scaled back going into this game because we obviously had way too many mistakes. So we'll continue to improve, hopefully letting them play faster and reacting instead of thinking.
And as you lose DJ for however long, are you concerned about just the size and bulk of your defensive line as it's combined with the inexperience?
Well, I think that, again, yes, from a standpoint of obviously Georgia attacked us on the edges. That was something you saw in the first series and realized what was going to happen. So we've got to do a better job of holding the point on the edges. We've looked at some different lineups that we could possibly look at as far as setting better edges of our defense and finding different ways to do that.
How much this week will y'all practice with wet footballs in case
We'll
it's
have a wet
raining
ball
pretty
practice Wednesday and Thursday.
the entire
No,
week?
we'll have periods that we do use it, With these things that I've been through, since living in Gainesville, living in Baton Rouge, living in Austin, Texas, we had a game delayed in 2008 against Arkansas. Had it moved, we fortunately both had an open week like 4 weeks later. But you can't ever predict and tell exactly what kind of rain you're going to get, and so you just got to – we'll have some periods with wet ball.
I guess what are the positives you take from the way that the offense was able to kind of string together some, I think it was 3 kind of longer drives in that first half, being efficient against kind of a defense of that caliber?
Well, I think you come out of every game and you evaluate what you did well, and there were some things that were positive and some things obviously you need to work on, and I think that's true in whether you win the game or you lose the game. So I don't think we need to confuse not playing well and not trying. We tried. Our guys played hard. Our guys fought their butts off in the first half to put themselves in a position. We didn't come out the second half and we got blocked and didn't respond well defensively. But let's don't confuse not playing well with not playing hard. Our guys played hard in the game. We didn't get the results we wanted.
I think your team's even in turnover margin through 2 games. Is there something you'd like to see more from your defense in terms of trying to get the ball off opponents, or is it just they're trying and it's just not happening right now?
Well, again, very small sample size in 2 games, and we certainly, our defensive staff does a fantastic job of coaching turnovers and emphasizing getting turnovers, and our players understand the importance of winning the turnover battle. And the other night, disappointed with the numbers, obviously.
As far as with Wanham's injury, how does that change the percentage of time that you put Bryson on the line versus before, or do you try to work somebody else into that role, or how does that change?
Well, it'll increase Bryson's percentage of playing the buck position, and then you have Aaron and Shamik playing the end position. Kier Thomas can go outside and play the end. Danny Fennell can play the end, and then increases Danny's and Brad's reps at the buck.
Does it tweak anything for you guys, the guys not having class? I know some of the players said they kind of liked it because they could, hang around here, watch more film.
No, it doesn't change. The 20-hour rule is still in effect as far as those things are concerned, and the players, that's on the players if they want to watch extra film, and we'll have a bunch that will do that.
How much do you like having them come out here?
Oh, absolutely, it's great. It's great for them to have more exposure, to have more opportunities to watch film. We also have study hall this afternoon for a bunch of guys too. Got a chance to get ahead. It's a heck of a deal. And you didn't do that, huh? That's pretty awesome.
Coach, any contingencies if you can't go Saturday night? Have you guys talked about maybe rescheduling or anything of that nature?
That's up to our administration. I don't have any say-so in that.
Any questions for Coach? No?
Thank you very much.